Well, in Ocean County, we're lucky enough to have Barnegat Bay be a central part of our life. We use it for crabbing and fishing, kayaking, all sorts of recreation, and it's also very central to our economies here.
The beautiful Barnegat Bay stretches 42 miles, primarily along the inner coast of Ocean County, New Jersey. Its watershed, the land area that drains to the bay, encompasses 660 square miles, including all the municipalities in Ocean County.
Well, not only is the bay a central part of our lives and we take a great amount of joy from it, but it's a central part of our economy. The tourism that comes here is all built around the bay, all built around it being able to use the bay, and that's dependent upon the bay being clean and healthy.
The bay is nationally recognized as a unique ecosystem with a variety of different habitats that many species depend upon for survival. The area surrounding Barnegat Bay and Barnegat Inlet was described by Henry Hudson in 1609 as a great lake of water. The bay was originally named in 1614, Barnegat, or Inlet of the Breakers, by Dutch settlers, referring to the waterway's turbulent channel. And during the American Revolutionary War, the bay was used as refuge by American privateers. The bay has been a long-time center for commercial fishing. The village of Toms River was a significant whaling port in the 19th century.
When I was 14, my dad put me in a 12-foot flat-bottom wooden garvey, and he pushed it off the dock and said, "Go out and make a day's pay." I distinctly remember walking out in the sandbar with my scratch rake and taking one scoop with the rake and having about 24 or 30, whatever it was, a couple handfuls of small, naturally occurring clams. I've yet to see that again.
Probably in the early 70s, I attended a public meeting in the town where I live, in Brick Township. It was a zoning meeting about changing the zoning from farming to condominiums. People were saying about all the bad things that would happen if the condominiums came in. The end result was there were no more farms sold in that community. There were no more farms in that community, but also what happened gradually was there were no more baymen.
While still popular for fishing, Barnegat Bay has also become a popular destination for recreational boating.
Barnegat Bay is one of the centers of sailboating on the eastern seaboard. For those who enjoy this stimulating sport, there are both the pleasures of solitary sailing and the frequent regattas from nearby yacht clubs.
For the more adventurous, there are sailboats, power boats, or fishing boats for your nautical pleasure.
Sadly, due to the numerous factors, the bay has suffered serious ecological decline. The overdevelopment of its watershed lands and high levels of pollution from stormwater runoff is causing significant impacts to the bay's health.
The problem really is a long-standing one in terms of the population growth and development. We had about 108,000 people in 1960. That's escalated up to about close to 590,000 people currently. Impervious cover has increased to over 10%. When you get over 10% in the watershed, the result of that is that you'll begin to see a degraded water quality and influence streams and rivers. That's what we have seen in terms of what's going into Barnegat Bay.
We already know that existing development is having an impact on the ecological health of the bay. If we're going to bring it back to health, we need to retrofit stormwater basins and implement green infrastructure on the existing development.
As a shellfish farmer, I'm a little bit concerned about where I put my shellfish and what those shellfish are exposed to, what type of food they're eating, what's in the water that they're being subjected to on a daily basis. And one of my concerns is overdevelopment upland will influence the type of algae we have blooming in the bay.
We can no longer ignore the declining health of the bay. As development around the bay has increased over the decades, so has its water pollution. All too common are fish kills, algae blooms, low oxygen levels, loss of habitat, diminishing clam populations, and the rise in stinging jellyfish. The preservation of the bay's water quality has been an ongoing effort of several public and private organizations.
We're here today at Ocean County College for the State of the Bay Conference. This is sponsored by Barnegat Bay Partnership, our National Estuary Program. We're going to interview some of those people, and then we're going to talk about how our green infrastructure projects are making a difference for a healthy Barnegat Bay.
There's good news and there's bad news. There's no doubt that in the history of the development of Ocean County, things weren't done the best way. The county was under an awful lot of development pressure starting in the 50s really and leading up to today.
It's clear that at this point still the state, the county, and the municipalities don't have a handle on land use or on water use.
We know that there's a correlation between people settling in the areas, altering the soils and landscape, and then impacting water quality that leads to changes in the bay. In our case, we've seen the gradually ongoing changes in seagrass habitat that we've been tracking for the past decade or so.
Unfortunately, today, the water quality of the bay is polluted by the rivers and creeks that feed it.
Since the 1990s and early 2000s, scientists and residents have drawn attention to the growing problems in the bay that no longer support a fishable, swimmable resource caused by overdevelopment of the surrounding land and mostly due to high levels of nitrogen from sources such as lawn fertilizers.
If we have an issue with non-point source pollution, that will have an influence on the shellfish farmer and, in the long run, the economics of the shellfish industry in New Jersey.
The science tells us how overdevelopment is causing a harmful cascade of events to the bay. Algae is overfed by excess nutrients running off the land and disrupts the ecosystem. Eelgrass is dying off, habitat loss is constant, and oxygen levels for a healthy bay are in severe trouble. With more people, we withdraw more water from our freshwater systems and put more pollution in our waterways that drain to the bay. Beach closings from unhealthy water are all too common, and stinging sea nettles often make a day at the bay uncomfortable or even impossible.
We had 7 grandchildren, and they all enjoyed the water, and we started with the boat. We taught them all how to water ski and tube and etc. And then came the jellyfish, and the sea nettles just ended up destroying it for our family because several of them got stung several times, and they just said, "Grandpa, we don't want to go boating anymore. We don't want to go because we're afraid of getting stung again."
The American Littoral Society has begun work to decrease the amount of stormwater runoff and associated pollutants flowing into and damaging the bay.
What the American Littoral Society was able to do with a variety of partners was target the worst stormwater basins, along with the existing development, and retrofit with green infrastructure to improve water quality.
A healthy community provides for a healthy place to live, grow a family, and to have some time in the natural areas that are safe as well as healthy.
Green infrastructure is a method of managing stormwater with naturalized features such as rain gardens and landscaping techniques. Green infrastructure promotes water management that protects communities and restores or mimics a natural system. It incorporates both the natural environment and engineered systems.
When you create a parking lot, when you create a place to collect rainwater, it eventually ends up in the bay. We don't know what's in it. We don't know who's putting what on your yard, your parking lot. We don't know what kind of weed killer they're using.
Rainwater flows quickly over pavement and other compacted earth, washing pollutants like fertilizer, pet waste, and road salt into waterways that flow into the Barnegat Bay.
I think a lot of times people don't think about what happens. I mean, after it rains and you have puddles, you know, they go away, but I don't think people give much thought to what happens to them and what happens to the things that are in the water.
In addition to improving the health of creeks, rivers, and Barnegat Bay for our enjoyment, green infrastructure also generates an abundance of beneficial outcomes, ranging from a reduction in flooding to the creation of vital habitat for fish and wildlife.
Part of keeping the community healthy is really keeping their environment healthy as well. So this was a natural extension of what we do day to day, delivering quality health care to the people of Ocean County as well as New Jersey.
It's great to show that we care about Toms River. And I think the more we can do to show that is going to help our kids down the road, because the kids that go to our school, they're the adults of tomorrow. They're the people that are going to be running this town. So I think if they see us doing it today, it will only grow as we go further.
Making use of healthy soil and native vegetation instead of pipes and concrete basins lowers water treatment costs and encourages groundwater recharge. Rain gardens and vegetated swales attract pollinators like birds, bees, and butterflies and bring beauty and new vitality to public spaces. There are roughly 2,700 stormwater basins in the 660 square mile Barnegat Bay watershed. The impact of retrofitting basins on a watershed-wide scale could greatly reduce pollutant loads. Stormwater basins collect and temporarily hold runoff from development such as buildings, streets, and parking lots. Retrofitting ineffective stormwater basin reduces the amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, and other pollutants washing into the bay. Loosening and amending the soil at the bottom of a basin restores the soil's natural ability to filter out pollutants. Instead of flowing directly into waterways, runoff percolates through the soil and replenished groundwater. Fewer pollutants reach the bay, and flooding is reduced.
Now we do not have the flooding problem at the intersection, and we had a serious one there, in some cases cars getting stuck. So all of that because of the basin behind us. When the rains came, it just washed right into our roadways. Now it doesn't do that. It seeps down, and we have drainage that we didn't have before. And we're very fortunate that we were able to work with the Littoral Society and have this happen.
Bioswales are gently sloped, often meandering drainage areas that collect and slowly direct rainwater away from buildings, streets, and parking lots. Eco-pavers are unlike traditional pavers. Special asphalt, concrete, and spaced paving allows rain and snow to seep into the ground beneath the surface, increasing groundwater recharge while decreasing stormwater runoff.
With conventional pavement, it's impervious, meaning that as we get a rainfall event, that rain just falls on that surface and it runs off. So you're going to get sediment, you're going to get trash, you're going to get litter, and even more importantly with respect to Barnegat Bay, you're going to get a lot of pollutants that you really can't see with the naked eye.
Rain gardens are shallow depressions planted with native grasses, shrubs, and flowers, and situated where they can capture runoff from downspouts, parking lots, and other paved areas.
The rain garden is a perfect example of a green infrastructure technique that can be scaled down to put on somebody's backyard. It absorbs that stormwater runoff, it allows it to percolate into the ground.
Bay-friendly land management and bayscaping are two types of green infrastructure programs developed by the American Littoral Society to protect and restore water quality in Barnegat Bay. Unlike lawns and high-maintenance exotic plants, native plants require little or no fertilizer, pesticides, or watering. Manufactured treatment devices vary from tree boxes to stormwater planters to subsurface underground storage units. Tree boxes are designed to collect and filter runoff. These precast concrete basins are installed at street level, filled with soil, and planted with native trees or shrubs. Compact and attractive, they are ideal for retrofits in urban areas or where space is limited.
I think it's essential to communicate with all homeowners, landowners, and businesses about the variety of things they can do to reduce their impact on the bay.
If you're a business within Ocean County, one of these types of projects really lend themselves to what you're doing in the community, which is supporting them and making sure there's a healthy environment.
The future of the Bay is really up to us. I think working together, the schools, the communities, the businesses, we have a chance to bring this Bay back. We have a lot of hope that the solutions that we've explored, that we've tried to bring into the communities will be successful, but it's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take a lot of people working together. But the bottom line is we believe we can bring the Bay back to health.